She mentors young women in Phoenix. I'm telling you, in a perfect world, she would be up here talking to you today, not me. So, sweetheart, happy anniversary, and I'm looking forward to 30 more years. All right, just a couple other people. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my parents, Joe and Karen Stenger, and my Aunt Cheryl, and my father-in-law, Marty Morrison. They stood by me the whole way, and they definitely helped me achieve my dreams. And if it weren't for their support, I wouldn't be up here today. So Chrissy, faculty, staff, teachers, parents, students, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm humbled to be here, and it is an honor to be here and speaking to you guys here today. More importantly, though, I want to thank you for what you do. I want to thank you because we're here today to talk about STEM. But let's be clear. Education precedes scientific discovery. It precedes technological advancement. And we are going to need both, as well as engineering and math, to overcome the greatest challenges facing our nation and our world today. In this country, in the United States, we rise and we fall as one nation made up of millions of individuals, each with a different story, each with different strengths and different weaknesses, but most importantly, each with a different role to play in the advancement of our society. Whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not, or whether you want to or not, we are all in this together. We are all playing a role every single day. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. But too often, we find ourselves lulled into the belief that someone with a lot of wealth, someone with a prestigious degree from a prestigious university, who lives in a big city with a big house, with lots of resources, we think that that is the person who is going to make the changes we need in STEM, and those are going to be the people that advance our society. And the rest of us are just along for the ride. I know some people believe that because that's how I felt when I was in 8th grade. As far as I could tell, the innovators, the scientists, the physicists, the business and political leaders of my time did not come from places like Barnesville. Or at least that's what I thought. You see, guys, I was too young at the time to realize that history did not support this limiting narrative that I had sold myself. I didn't realize that the ideas that were shaping my life at that time, and that continue to shape my life into adulthood, didn't originate at the White House. They didn't originate at the House of Representatives or the Senate, and they certainly didn't originate in some fancy mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. No. Then, like now, the only prerequisite for innovation, discovery, and advancement is a curious mind and a willingness to act. And to all the adults in the room, to the parents, to the teachers, to the leaders in this community, it is up to us to recognize, foster, and imbue those qualities within these students. It's up to us to inch by inch tear down the barriers that keep them from achieving their dreams and that keep them from achieving their full potential. And the fact that this STEM conference even exists shows your willingness to do exactly that. Because I know it might seem like a small step to all of you guys out there, but great achievement is almost always the result of subtle change. And that's something I think that bears repeating. Great achievement is almost always the result of subtle change. I know when Meg and Chrissy and I graduated from high school in 2000 and 2001, this conference didn't exist. So for all of you that made this conference possible today, thank you so much for making STEM accessible to these students. Students, thank you guys for being here. But I want to address the elephant in the room first. It wasn't that long ago I was in 8th grade. I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, and it's probably obvious at this point, that I am far more excited to be here talking to you than you are to be sitting there listening to me. I know that. It's just a fact. And it's totally okay. I know that you're here out of obligation. And what's more, I know that you're looking at this guy in the military thinking, I see that uniform. I know you're here to recruit me. I know you want me to join, and you are not going to trick me. But I got good news for you. I'm not here to recruit you. I'm not here to get you to join the military. Furthermore, I'm not here as a fighter pilot. I'm not here as a military officer. I'm not here as a CEO. I am here with you today as one thing and one thing only, and that is as a Valley kid. As a kid who grew up in the Ohio Valley. I grew up on a farm. My dad's a truck driver. My parents own a small business in Barnesville. I had my science fairs in this building. And I went to school and played sports in many of the same buildings as all of you. So whether you like it or not, whether you realize it or not, whether you want to or not, you and I, we have a lot in common. And more than any other reason, that's why I flew from Arizona to be here today. Yes, we'll talk about STEM. We'll get to the airplanes and stuff like that. But the truth is I'm here because I want to talk to you about all the things I wish I had known when I was sitting in your seats 20 years ago. Not least of which is the fact that the opportunities that exist for you right now in 2017, the careers, the possibilities are as limitless as your potential, which I vehemently believe is limitless. And to tell you that whatever narrative that you have for yourself, whatever you've told yourself about what you will or won't do in the future, whether that be high school, college, or beyond, whatever story you're telling yourself is just that. It's a narrative, it's a story. And you are always stronger than you think you are. You're always more intelligent than you think you are. And you are always, always more capable than you think you are. Oh, Chrissy, I know what you might be thinking. I brought this guy in to talk about STEM today, and we're not for a motivational speech. So I hear you, and we'll get to that. But that's not the way that this is intended, right? This isn't intended to be a motivational speech. We just have to start the STEM discussion with the premise that whatever you have told yourself about the opportunities that exist for you and your potential to go achieve them, based on any limitations that you think exist, is probably not accurate. It's probably not accurate. As humans, we have a tendency to define ourselves and to make forecasts and predictions about our future, not based on our strengths, but based on our insecurities. We tell ourselves that we will do X, Y, or Z, or we limit ourselves based on what our family's done, what our friends have done, what our brothers and sisters have done, what our GPA is, and how we think that plays into it, how athletic we are, how popular we are. We make all these predictions based on these assumptions. And what happens? As kids, we roam in this limitless field where anything is possible. And so if you ask a kindergartner or a first grader or a second grader, hey man, what do you want to do when you grow up? You'll hear stuff like astronaut, fighter pilot, doctor, lawyer, scientist, physicist, whatever the case is. And that answer is cute for a while, but then somewhere along the road, they get a little bit older and they ask an adult, asks them, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they say, I want to be an astronaut. And the adult says, no, really, what do you want to do? And that kid now, who started to have this whole field of possibilities to roam, now sees a wall there. Well, I thought I could be an astronaut. I thought I could be a scientist. Okay, I guess I can't do that. And then what happens? Maybe they get a bad grade on a test. Another wall goes up because doctors have to be smart. I just got a C or a D in biology. Can't be a doctor. And then maybe you're not the most popular kid in your class. And well, wanted to be president of the United States, but not popular, so can't do that. And brick by brick, day by day, criticism by criticism, these walls form around us. And over time, it adds up. And eventually we find ourselves confined and in a prison that keeps us from achieving our full potential and achieving our dreams. And here's the deal. No one likes to hear that I'm in a prison. No one wants to hear that. It just conjures up these really negative emotions. And that's why no one really does a lot. Most people, some people don't do a lot about it. Because it's a comfort zone. Because as long as these limitations exist around me, as long as I don't set the bar too high for myself, then I won't fail, right? And if I don't fail, then I'm not going to suffer the pain of failure. And if I don't put myself out there, then I'm not going to get rejected. And I don't have to suffer through that pain. It's a comfort zone. But I'm here to tell you guys, if you have a dream, and whether that dream involves STEM, or whether it involves something else, you have to tear down those walls brick by brick, inch by inch, every single day, every single hour, every single second. And if you do that for long enough, here's what will happen. Eventually, you'll look around and that wall won't exist anymore, and you'll be standing on top of this mountain of exceeded expectations, of broken limitations. You'll be standing on a mountain of criticism, of critiques, of prejudice, of sexism, of whatever the case might be, of all these obstacles you overcome, and you'll be looking around wondering why a limitation ever existed in the first place. From that point forward, when you face an obstacle, you won't see the barrier. You'll see the solution, and you'll focus on the solution. And I'm telling you right now, guys, that is so important because the world is full of barriers that must be overcome. Full of them. I believe that right now in 2017, we are the luckiest people in history to be born at this time. Contrary to what the news might tell you, this is the most peaceful the world has ever been. Disease and famine have largely been eradicated. It's mostly localized. They still exist, but it's localized. And the opportunities, again, that exist, there's just so many you can't even count. But at the same time, you all were born at the start of a millennium that's had its challenges. It's been marked by terrorism. It's been marked by economic stagnation and downturn. It's been marked by global warming. And it's been marked by a whole heck of a lot of uncertainty. And if I was sitting in your guys' shoes, I'd be pretty mad about that. Because you're in 8th grade and these are really big problems and you didn't play a single role in making them happen. In fact, the decisions that might have led these things to occur, that happened decades ago before you were even born. But rest assured, guys and girls, even though you didn't play a role in causing these problems, your generation will have to be the ones to come up with the solutions to them. And I don't want to sound melodramatic, but it probably will, but this is true. The fate of the United States and the fate of the world hangs in the balance. You see, right now, you guys have the luxury of being the authors of your own story. Every day that goes by, you have written another page in the storybook of your life. Your sphere of influence, though, your story, it doesn't extend much beyond yourself. It doesn't extend much beyond your family, your friends, maybe a little bit to the community. But all while you're just authoring your own story right now, the history of the United States is being written all around you. And as you get older, your story and America's story, they start to overlap. And sooner than you think, you will literally be writing the next chapter of American history. And so my question to you, especially in the context of STEM, is what will you write? What do you want to write? So for me, as I've already alluded to, my story began in Barnesville, and from a very young age, as Chrissy said, I started to weave fighter aviation into the pages of my life. I decided I wanted to be a fighter pilot when I was in 2nd grade, and this was during the crescendo of the Gulf War. And for those of you that lived in the Valley at that time, you remember we had Channel 7, we had Channel 9, and every day at 5 o'clock, they both had the news on. And I'm pretty sure every day at 5 o'clock, everyone turned on Beat Greenwood's Proud to Be an American, turned it up to full blast, went out, tied a yellow ribbon around their car, and waved the American flag at 5 o'clock. I mean, it's ingrained in my mind that those things happened when I was in 2nd grade. And what was burned into my mind, though, was on the news, they would be showing pictures of what was going on in Iraq at the time. If you guys don't know, that's surface-to-air missile or surface-to-air fire being shot at U.S. pilots. And so the news would show this. And then inevitably, they'd show the pilots going back and landing on their ships or on runways. And they would get out of the jets, and they would just be cool, calm, and collected, like nothing had ever happened. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. They were the epitome of awesome to me, and that was what I was going to do with my life. I decided right then and there in 2nd grade. I was lucky. That vision drove me from the time I was, 9 years old to the time I first strapped into the F-15 when I was 26. Having a vision for your life can be a powerful, powerful tool. Because that vision pushed me to do things that I never thought were possible for myself. I was an average student in high school. Maybe slightly above average. And I certainly was not an athlete. But I was a standout in college. And the only reason why was because I had made my mind up at a young age that that was what I was going to do. And I would do whatever it took to get there. And guys, I'm not any smarter than any of you. My IQ is probably the exact same as the average or the mean for this room. It was the vision and nothing else.